In the previous video, we looked at what is being built around crypto. DAC8, CARF, KYC, regulated exchanges, tax reporting, and we saw something important. The blockchain itself may still be decentralized, but the roads leading into and out of it are becoming increasingly regulated, identified, and monitored. That was one side of the story. Now we need to look at the other, because while new gates are being built around crypto, the decentralized world is not simply waiting, it is building too. And the real question is no longer, will blockchain survive regulation? A better question is, will financial self-sovereignty survive the success of blockchain itself? Go back to the original idea. Satoshi Nakamoto did not create Bitcoin to build a faster bank. The breakthrough was direct electronic value transfer without requiring a financial institution to stand between two people. That distinction matters. Bitcoin did not promise a world without laws. It created a system where the transaction itself did not need permission from a traditional financial intermediary. But look at what happened next. The middleman could not simply be inserted back into the Bitcoin protocol, so new intermediaries developed around it. Exchanges, custody providers, fiat gateways, KYC, travel rule requirements, tax reporting, DAC8, CARF. The middleman was removed from the transaction. Now the middleman is returning around the transaction. And this is where the story becomes much more interesting. Traditional finance is no longer simply asking whether blockchain is useful, it is using it. JP Morgan built Kinexes for blockchain-based financial infrastructure, programmable payments, and tokenized assets. The banking sector is experimenting with tokenized deposits. The Bank for International Settlements has explored tokenized commercial bank money and central bank money through Project Agora. So the old argument is changing. Do banks want faster settlement? Yes. 24/7 financial infrastructure? Yes. Programmable money? Yes. Tokenization? Yes. Blockchain? Clearly, yes. But now ask a different question. Do they also want permissionless access, self-custody, censorship-resistance? A system where nobody can decide whether you are allowed to transact? That is a completely different matter. A financial system can run on blockchain and still require permission. A token can exist on a blockchain and still be frozen. A payment system can operate 24 hours a day while access remains controlled by an institution. So if everything becomes tokenized, programmable, and blockchain-based, but somebody else still decides who can enter, then the technology has modernized. The power structure has not. This may be the real crypto blind spot. The future may not be a battle between blockchain and banks. Blockchain may be used by both sides. The real competition may be between two very different versions of blockchain. One version uses blockchain technology inside a controlled financial system. Identity is known. Access can be permissioned. Assets can be frozen. Custody may remain centralized. The other version tries to preserve something much harder. The ability to hold assets yourself. The ability to transact without asking permission. The ability to protect your financial privacy. And the ability to use a network even when no central institution approves your transaction. So the question is not simply whether blockchain wins. The question is, what kind of blockchain wins? Start with Kohaku. Kohaku is not a new cryptocurrency. It is not another blockchain. And it is not simply a new mixer. It is an open privacy and security toolkit being developed for the Ethereum wallet ecosystem, together with a reference wallet implementation. Why does that matter? Because today, privacy is often the user's problem. You need to understand which address you expose, which services can link your wallets, which RPC provider can see your requests, which transactions reveal your balance, which interactions connect your financial history. That is not realistic for most people. The Kohaku direction changes the question. Instead of asking, how can the user manually protect every piece of financial metadata? The goal becomes, how much of that protection can the wallet handle automatically? Its development includes workaround privacy pools, Railgun integration, address isolation, light client technology, and more private network communication. The important part is not the acronym. It is what this could mean for you. Privacy may eventually become a wallet feature instead of a separate technical project. Imagine paying a merchant with crypto. The merchant needs to know one thing. Did the payment arrive? But does the merchant need to know the rest of your wallet balance, your previous transactions, your other addresses, where your funds came from months earlier? No. This is where financial privacy becomes a practical issue rather than an ideological one. The goal is not to make every transaction invisible to everybody. The goal is to stop one necessary disclosure from becoming total financial exposure. Privacy does not mean nobody can know anything. It means not everybody needs to know everything. This is where privacy pools and zero-knowledge proofs become important. Financial privacy is often presented as if there are only two choices: reveal everything or hide everything. Zero-knowledge technology creates a third option: prove what needs to be proven without revealing all the underlying information. For example, privacy systems can be designed to let a user prove that funds are not associated with certain prohibited sources without publicly exposing an entire transaction history. That changes the model completely. A regulated service may need specific information. A tax authority may have a lawful right to certain records. A merchant needs proof that a payment is valid. But none of those facts automatically mean that every merchant, website, blockchain analyst, and stranger on the internet should inherit the same level of visibility. The new model is not: nobody gets to ask anything. The new model is: I prove what I need to prove. I do not hand over everything else. That is a very different form of financial privacy. Now look at another problem. You can hold your own keys. You can control your own wallet. But what happens if a small number of powerful block builders can repeatedly exclude your valid transaction? Then ownership is only part of the story. Ethereum researchers have been developing mechanisms such as FOCIL, fork choice enforced inclusion lists, to strengthen transaction inclusion and censorship resistance. The important point is not that every transaction becomes magically unstoppable. The important point is that Ethereum is working at the protocol level to make sustained censorship harder. Why should you care? Because self-custody means very little if somebody else can still decide whether you are allowed to use what you own. Financial sovereignty is not only about possession, it is also about the ability to transact. There is another weakness in today's self-custody model. It can be brutally unforgiving. Lose the wrong key, and the money may be gone. Your security model is often tied to one specific type of signature and one rigid account structure. Ethereum's account abstraction work, including ERC-4337 and EIP-7702, is making wallets more programmable. Recovery can become more flexible, authorization can become more flexible, transactions can be bundled, different security models can become possible, and future cryptographic upgrades may become easier to manage. That matters because self-custody will never become a serious alternative for billions of people if one simple mistake can permanently destroy access. The solution cannot simply be give custody back to a company. The harder challenge is make self-custody safer without giving away control. Ethereum is also preparing for a world where today's cryptography may eventually need to change. Post-quantum research is already part of Ethereum's future security work, and this is more interesting than the usual quantum fear story. The important question is not, will a quantum computer steal all crypto tomorrow? That is not what this is about. The deeper question is, can a decentralized global network replace critical parts of its cryptography without creating a central authority that decides everything? That is a stress test for decentralization itself. A system is not truly resilient because it survives today's threats. It is resilient if it can adapt to tomorrow's threats without rebuilding the gatekeeper it originally removed. Forget the acronyms for a moment. What could these developments actually give you? You pay a merchant. The merchant confirms the payment without automatically seeing your entire financial life. You connect to a decentralized application. The application does not necessarily need to link every address you control into one permanent profile. You need to prove something about your funds. Zero-knowledge technology may allow you to prove the necessary fact without publishing your entire transaction history. You hold your own assets. Censorship-resistance improvements make it harder for a small group of infrastructure providers to quietly become new gatekeepers. Your wallet becomes easier to recover and easier to upgrade without automatically becoming custodial. That is the real value. Not hiding from taxes, not disappearing, not avoiding legitimate obligations. Choice. Control over unnecessary disclosure. Control over custody. And a better chance that using your own money does not automatically require somebody else's permission. There is one important reality check. This future is not finished. Kohaku is still under development. Several privacy components remain experimental. Mainstream wallet integration is not guaranteed or immediate. Privacy technology still faces security, cost, user experience, and regulatory challenges. FOCIL is development work, not a magic switch that makes censorship impossible. Post-quantum migration is a long-term engineering challenge. Meanwhile, centralized systems have one major advantage. They can move quickly. A bank can change its own infrastructure without waiting for millions of independent users, validators, developers, and wallet providers to coordinate. A decentralized network has to earn consensus. It has to be tested, audited, integrated, adopted. So there is a real race. One side can build control rapidly from the outside, the other has to preserve freedom carefully from the inside. And this is where the debate needs to grow up. The answer is not a financial system with no rules, and it is not a world where every transaction must expose everything. The more interesting solution is selective transparency. Prove the payment, prove the required fact, provide the legally required information where necessary, but do not turn every financial action into permanent public surveillance. The decentralized world is trying to build technology that separates verification from total exposure. That may be one of the most important developments in crypto today, because the future of financial freedom may not depend on becoming invisible. It may depend on being able to decide what must be visible. The previous video showed how the regulatory fence is being built. This video shows the part that receives far less attention. The decentralized world is building too. Kohaku, privacy pools, zero-knowledge proofs, FOCIL, account abstraction, post-quantum security. None of these projects proves that decentralization has already won. But they prove something important. The decentralized world is not passively accepting a future where blockchain survives, but self-sovereignty disappears. The technology is being adapted to defend the original idea under completely new conditions. And that brings us to the real question. The future of blockchain may already be becoming clear. Banks are using it. Institutions are tokenizing assets. Governments are building rules around it. But the future of financial self-sovereignty is still being decided. So when more and more of the world's money finally moves on blockchain rails, who will control your ability to use it? And how much of your financial life will you have to reveal just to participate? That may be the real crypto battle of the next decade.